the show had gone live just a couple of seconds earlier, you would have heard the crack of a beer opening in Spain. Because, yes, the boys are back. Son of a punt. There's another one. And we got the conductor as well. Guys, welcome to the show. It's Thursday night. It's the Handicap Rugby Chat that matters. Looking forward to talking rugby. We got the Super Rugby Australia final taking place this weekend. Some of the pessimists might say, thank goodness this tournament is coming to an end. We'll also talk Champions Cup quarterfinals and Mitre 10 Cup rugby as well. So, good to have you on the show. Let me start at the bottom of my screen and welcome back, Son of a Punt. The boys are over in Barcelona at the moment, are you?
Brent, thanks. It's good to be back. How's the conductor? We're actually in Malta at the moment, a little island country below Italy. Enjoying some sun out here.
Hey, it's a tough life, gents.
It's got too many COVID cases, Barcelona.
And how's the betting form been going, guys?
Yeah, it was quite tough whilst we were on the road trip, a bit up and down, but we managed to bounce back last weekend with a couple W's, which was nice to find the momentum. So hopefully we can continue it this weekend.
Excellent. Well, welcome. We've got lots of guys in the live chat already and watching it on YouTube Live. It's also going out on Facebook and Twitter. And let me welcome back the conductor. Conductor, good to have you back on the show. I know you eat, sleep, and breathe your rugby. You're looking forward to this weekend.
Thanks, Brent. Yeah, always lovely to join you guys, and welcome back to Andy and Geordie. And I'm absolutely had a cracker of a weekend last weekend. Henrik was on fire. Dave Cooney, incredible calls last weekend. So looking forward to some good calls this weekend. Some tough rugby, but looking forward to some good rugby this weekend.
Yeah, when I was doing the Best Bet newsletter last week, I actually wanted to go with Henrik's Auckland play, which arrived. But the problem was we had a power cut, and it wasn't load shedding. It was just a power cut for like the whole of Fridays. By the time I got around to doing the newsletter, the game was finished. I thought, I can't put that one up. So I put Dave's Leinster bet up. And Leinster actually tried it up. And we're going to talk about them in a little while because they certainly have been very impressive. But let's get into the action. And the first game I want to talk about and conduct, I'll start with you, is the Brumbies up against the Reds in Canberra. This is now the final game of the Australian season. The Reds last week, quite impressive in beating the Rebels by 12. And once again, conductor was their defense that did the business for them.
Yeah, Brent, look, it's the final of the Super Rugby AU, as you say. Maybe it's a good thing that's come to an end for some people. I've actually quite enjoyed the tournaments from a betting perspective. Going unders has reaped some good rewards in that respect. I was quite surprised to see the price open at 7-10 on the Brumbies, considering it's a home game for them. In Canberra with, albeit a limited crowd. They've got a fresh side, rested the guys for a week, whereas the Reds have played 2 consecutive tough games against the Brumbies and the Rebels last week. They sustained some injuries against the Rebels last week. Chris Faway-Sautia is not going to be playing this weekend against the Brumbies. So, at least Jordan Patai's back. Hunter Paisami's back in the centres, which should give them a bit of solidity. So it should be a tough game, but I still expect the Brumbies to do the business here. And then not take the foot off the pedal as it did when they played the Reds a couple of weeks back in Canberra. I think to me, -2.5 is a bit of a gift here. I've watched this movie before, and I think that the Brumbies will do the business.
Right, Brumbies at home, the pick there, and -2.5 for the conductor. Let's go to Son of a Punt, Jordan and Andrew. Lads, what do you make of this one? Looks like the guys may have frozen there. Oh, there we go.
Us back. Sorry. I think I'm pretty strong on the Brumbies. I think, especially with Noah Laliso coming back into the starting 15, at least they'll be able to slot a kick. Mr. Quenzel, he loves pulling it to the left. I think Brumbies at home in Canberra, week off. At 7-10, I think that's a pretty good play, and the -2 as well. Also, Angus Gardner with the whistle. He generally likes to, play a bit more of an open game, and he's kind of known as an overs ref. And I think that'll suit the Brumbies. And I can see them going straight to that rolling thunder, and Heinz Hooker, Falau Fainga going over for, first try of the match, first try for the Brumbies, his first of maybe 2 or 3
I was going to say
in the game. So, I'm strong on the Brumbies.
Andrew, yourself?
So can you hear us here, Brent?
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
I think I'm
break
in
up
the
a little
same
bit. That's not
camp
bad.
the same camp as the conductor and Geordie, but a market that I'm also eyeing out is Brumbies to score more tries than the Reds at 0.85 or 1.85. As Jordan said, they're going to stick to that same tactic of going to the corner and getting those tries. So if they win the game, I'm sure they're going to win the tries as well. And at least it gives you the opportunity for Reds to potentially win the game, but starting over all those 3-pointers and Brumbies still winning on the tries. So for me, my best bet there is Brumbies to score more tries than the Reds.
Okay, I like that one as well. Brendan, one of the bets I was looking at here was Brumbies by 1 to 12 points. That's around about the 15 to 10 mark. I guess initially I was actually leaning in the Reds camp for this game when I saw the fixtures. But after that punishing match last week against the Rebels, I do think the Brumbies are going to benefit from freshness. But do you think, obviously, if you're back in the -2.5, you won't want to take that bet. But do you see this being within a score, maybe a score and a half, or is there a chance the Brumbies could run away with it?
Brent, I think the Reds spirit is actually quite big in that game. I think they might sort of cling on to that between 1 and 12, but I wouldn't want to back that. I'd rather sort of stick on my -1.5, -2.5 on that bet. Noel Lillasio is back for the Brumbies, and he's one guy that can actually get the backline going. I thought Bailey Kunzel wasn't a bad stand-in, but he just wasn't in terms of he hadn't sort of trained in that role at 10 for the Brumbies. So, obviously he wasn't sort of able to come in and get that backline going, because you actually have some good strike runners in the backline with Wright and Tom Banks and Solomon Ekata coming on off the bench. So, I actually might think if the Reds get on top, it might be one-way traffic for the Reds. But the Reds have actually shown good spirit, but as I said earlier in the week, I think they might run out a bit of a puff in the last 20 minutes.
Excellent. Welcome to Brady and Sean Nicholas also come up on the show here. So we've got plenty of guys in the live chat this afternoon, this evening, should I say. Good to see you there, Sean. Gents, let me ask the son of a punt, guys. I just got a text message or a WhatsApp from Couch Critic. He says his bet special at Olymp this week is Fainga to score the first try and the Brumbies to win. And I think that was at 17 to 1. What do you think of that one?
That is juicy. Hey? I'd lick my lips and I'd throw probably a case of beer on that one.
Well, I hope I got the bet right there, Couch, but that I got from memory. But it certainly does sound good. Yeah, it sounds about right. I mean, that is pretty much a choice game, and he's probably about 6 to 1 to score the first try, so somewhere around there. So that's it for the Aussie game. Is he 10 to 1? 10 to 1 to score the first try. That's not bad. And anything on the total points, guys? I know we don't have a line yet. What do you think it's going to come out at, son of a punt? Do you guys think we're going to look at something in the mid-40s here?
It's actually out at Bet365 at 44 points for the match.
Okay.
As Jordan was saying, Angus Gardner is an overdraft, but I did check the extended weather forecast, and it says there is a chance of rain. And you best believe if I can get that early Instagram feed and see that the rain is drizzling down, I'll be bombing that unders market. Without any rain, I don't have any strong feelings on the market. As Brendan said, the Brumbies could run away with it, so I'd rather just stay at Brumbies on the board there or Brumbies more tries.
So, Brendan, that line of 44.5, anything catch the eye there, or do you just happy to sit on your Brumbies?
No, Brent, I'm not too sure in terms of I was quite surprised in terms of how open the game was between the Rebels and the Reds last week. As a try a piece. I was sweating a little bit on that unders, but no, I'll sit out the unders. The unders on terms of this bet. So I'm quite happy with the Brumbies bet there, bring a fresh side. So no, I'm not going to touch the points. This isn't my focus in that game.
Right. Well, let's move on to the Champions Cup quarterfinals. We've got 4 cracking games to look forward to this weekend, and I'm going to start off with Jordan and Andrew. Leinster -10.5 against Saracens. Is your money down already on this game, guys? And if not, which way is it going?
Leinster was so professional last weekend. We were on Ulster under 1.5 tries, and after Ulster scored in the first 2 minutes, we were, to be honest, I never actually felt like that bet was going to lose. But Leinster are just such a professional outfit. So, but at 10.5, it's a big cap for a quarterfinal. And I know Sarri's missing Owen Farrell, but to be honest, they've got nothing else to play for. So this is basically their last game of the season that's really meaningful. So for me, this game, I can watch it, and it can probably be played pre-match without my money. I might watch in play for something, but right now, nothing's screaming at me.
Andrew, from your side?
I'm here, just Geordie here. plus 10.5 is huge for a quarterfinal. So if I had to lean one way pre-match, it would be the plus. As Jordan said, they're missing Farrell, but Vunipola has been great there at 10 as well. So I think if I had to choose, it would be the plus. But otherwise, I'm also just going to watch this in terms of a spectacle point of view. I think it could be one of the best games of the weekend. It's going to be a feisty affair.
Excellent. Conductor, what are your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, Brent, it's an interesting game. This I think definitely a bit of revenge in the water for Leinster here, tasting defeat in that 2010 game against Saracens. Saracens a very, very much changed side. And I think, as Dave Cooney alluded to earlier in the week, there's a lot of personnel changes in the Saracens side. A big change is Farrell. So it's either going to be Alex Good or Manu Vunipola. I imagine it'll probably be Alex Good, who's a more experienced guy in the position, which means that they have to switch Elliot Daly to fullback. I like the -9.5 here. It won't be my main fancy. My main fancy was Sarri's points under. The Leinster defensive side is absolutely next level, incredible. I think, as we saw against Ulster, they're so good in terms of defense and then also not giving penalties away. So they'll also defend back off the ruck, not try and steal when the opportunity is not there. So I like that series under, but I'm going to take. I did take 9.5. Sorry, earlier in the week. I can't see Saracens keeping pace with this Leinster side. Leinster's got about 46 players who are all of high quality, and Saracens have been struggling. So I really like this Leinster side.
Right, well, let's stay with you and move on to the second game is Clermont game. Clermont against Racing, -2.5 points Clermont.
Brent, is a tough one, man. You know, it's still Marcel Michelin. It's, Clermont's a good side. I mean, they've got some great players. I know Brady. I know Brady who's watching. He's far more in tune, or on the heartbeat of the thumb beats of French rugby. But they still got guys like Lopez, Raka, Damien Penaud. Fofana. There's got some great French internationals in that side. So it's difficult. I think that line has moved in. I think Racing were +6.5 earlier in the week there. Curtly Beale with his suspension there would have hurt them, but to me that's a tough one to call. I know Brady called that +6.5 earlier in the week. I think the +6.5 would have been the game to go for earlier. I think that the +2.5 might just not be enough value for a plus punter there. I'll stay out of that game. I've got no feel. I think if you want to tune into Good for the Game forum and listen to Brady and what his thoughts are, I think that's the best bet. He like as I said, his knowledge of French rugby is actually unsurpassed at this point in time.
Excellent. And you can get onto the Good for the Game forum. There is a link down below to the rugby thread there. I agree with you. And French rugby, you've got to know what the teams are thinking, what their mindset is going into the game. But let's go over to Barcelona and find out what the guys think of this one.
Yeah, Brent, I was almost going to say the exact same thing as Conductor here. My knowledge of French rugby really isn't great. So when I was researching this game, I looked at Monsieur Grady's picks. And I saw he liked the Racing +6.5. At +2.5, I probably wouldn't even bother on the plus, and I would take them on the board. The only thing I do know about French rugby is that the home team always wins. So that's why I'd be quite scared of this one. But I did see Curtly Beale got a red card, which is a blessing in disguise for Racing. So yeah, as I said, I'm also going to stay out of this game. But if I had to go outside of Grady, given his knowledge of the French league, and I'll go with
one last thing for me to add there. Pretty much, obviously, also back Brady blindly, but I see Roman Poit as the ref, so I'm probably not even going to watch this game. Can't deal with him.
Excellent. We're just having a look in the live chat. There's Shane coming in, and he reckons Racing 92 will give Leinster something to think about in the semi. So he's already looking a week ahead. So no doubt he's on them on the board. And we've got a T. Kawenga going on Racing as well. And Brady just coming up with another post here, which I'll put up, although another one came in before I could. Either team by 7 or less could be the move now. This will be a close one. And that's an interesting one. A number of bookmakers do offer that, either team by 7 or less, if you think it's going to be a tight game. But this should be a good one. Looking forward to it. And that will then take us through to the next game on the card. And I'll stay with the son of the punt boys here. Toulouse -11.5 against Ulster. Ulster, of course, coming out of that defeat in the Pro 14 last weekend.
Yeah, I mean, I watched some of the highlights from the Toulouse game, and Cheslin Colby, deja vu, scoring that second try down the wing. He made light work of Raymond Rule, then bounced the fly half, and then rounded Dylan Laird. So it was an incredible second try. And any team with Cheslin has to see my money. I mean, I was impressed by Ulster last week, especially in the first half, and I genuinely think they could have had a chance of winning that game if they just, swallowed their pride and kicked their threes. But yeah, that's obviously hindsight bias for them. But yeah, for me, as I said, I don't know too much about the French rugby. I do like the way Toulouse play. They also love extending the lead, even if they're at a 3-try-to-0 lead, so 21-0 up, they'll extend the lead with poles. I think Ramos is their goal kicker, and he's quite a radar. Last week they won 39-20. 6 penalties, 3 converted tries, or 3 tries. So I mean, for me, Toulouse are a professional unit, and they've got Ches and Colby. It's enough to see some of my money.
Yeah, and just to add on this one as well, there's predicted 6.6 millimeters of rain on the day, so it's going to be quite a lot of rain there. And Wayne Barnes on the whistle, and we know how much he loves to blow that whistle as well. I think last week he had one of the highest penalties in the Premiership blown. So I have no doubt there's going to be a lot of polls being created. So anyone with overseas bookies, over penalties will definitely be a player here. And I would also stay with Toulouse on the minus. Or, sorry, one last player is Ulster under tries, which came through last week. And I think will come through again here if it's rainy. They will surely take their lessons learned from last week and actually take polls when they're on offer.
Just talking of Wayne Barnes, I see he's returned to Twitter. I think after some lengthy absence, he's come back to Twitter, and I see his wife gives him a hard time. Are you guys following him on Twitter there? She seems to be quite humorous actually, and I guess he's decided it's time to return after probably taking a lot of abuse the last time he was on Twitter.
Yeah, well, at least I've seen the tweets. I don't actually know if I follow him or if we follow him or not, but I think his wife definitely gained quite a big following after disrespecting her husband on Twitter. But it made for some comedy gold, so good on her. And I think Wayne's first tweet actually was no biting, infringing, or I don't know, something like that. It was a funny tweet, but ref related. So some good humor. I think he'll be good. I think Nigel Owens is happy to have him back on Twitter.
Yeah, I'm sure. I think if you're a ref and you're gonna be on Twitter, you've got to look at the funny side of things and take things lightly. And let's see what Conductor thinks about this game. Conductor,
Brent, I'll be quite honest. I didn't actually see the weather before I sort of made my mind up about this game. So some of the punt boys have put an absolute span in the works. So I had a quick look at my iPhone, and it's changed my complete perspective on the game. But wet weather normally suits an Irish team. Dry weather would have been great for a backline of Intermark, Cheslin Colby, and Ramos. I mean, those guys are absolutely sick on the field. It's just unbelievable to watch. I still back that 11.5. It might be a bit tough now in the wet weather. I'll still back the forward pack of Toulouse to get the job done. As Brady mentioned in the comments, Reinhard Ulstedt is injured. It's a bit of a disappointment there, but I think there's still good enough cattle to get the job done there. I just wish it had been a dry game. I would have backed Toulouse heavily there to run them off the pitch. But if it is wet, I see this 80% rain predicted. If it is wet, it might just sort of favour a closer game there. So I'm on that minus 10.5, and I'm not gonna cash out just yet. I still back them to do the business at home, but I would have been far more confident on a dry pitch.
Right, Conductor, just while we're staying with you, I've just got the Champions Cup outright odds scrolling down below. Leinster 5-4, Exeter 16-5, Toulouse 4-1, Saracens 8-1, 35-4, and better the balance. Anything jump out to you from an outright betting point of view there? So,
Brent, I see basically, I think if Leinster win this week, they play the semi at home. I think they play the final at home. The finals in France. Apologies. Against potentially the runner-up of Exeter and Toulouse. It might be Leinster versus Exeter or Toulouse in France. Obviously, if it's Leinster versus Toulouse in France, it all boils down to crowds back down. I guess. I mean, there's not much crowds that are allowed at the moment, so the crowd factor's not much. So, it might be a bit of a neutral venue in that aspect. If it was a full crowd participation, I'd be hugely backing. I've got money on Toulon, the champion in the Challenge Cup, so I was quite confident there because of crowds, but that's sort of flown away. But without crowds, I don't know what your guys' views on, but I think the crowd, the venues might be a little bit null and void.
What do you guys think of that one, Jordan and Andrew?
Yeah, I agree. It really just depends. I'd see Exeter also playing their semi-final at home, which is a change in regulation, which would be big. So therefore, if I had to lean for a value play, it would probably be Exeter. Exeter then taking on Leinster in the final. I suppose if you really attack Leinster, you could get the better. But for me, there's nothing that really screams my money on the outright, and it's definitely not Northampton Saints.
Right. Well, let's have a look at the Northampton Saints game, because this is a big handicap. 22.5 points, but I think a very justifiable handicap, and we'll stay with the son of a punt boys for this one. Minus 22.5 Exeter. Am I right in saying there's been quite a lot of money for this one since the first lines came out?
Yeah, for sure. I think the line originally opened at 13 or even 12.5, and obviously it's just climbed and climbed and climbed because there was news that the Saints tight head prop was injured and they couldn't field anyone at prop, and in that case they would have had to done uncontested scrums and started 14 men on the pitch. So I think on that news the line just kept climbing, but they actually have made a signing for that position, so they will be able to field 15 players. They got the Gloucester reserve tight head, I think. So that, but yeah, 2.5 for me, it's too much for a quarterfinal game. If I had to lean here, I would take Saints on the plus, but I'm not going to touch this pre-game. If anything, I'll wait for in-play. Let Exeter score their first seven points and then get on a Saints plus 28.5. But Saints have been dismal this season. I don't think they covered one cap, and they've only won one game post-COVID. So they just have been completely horrific, and I think it's all due to Kobus Reinach leaving the team. So yeah, it's a tough one to call, but I'm leaning the plus for such a big handicap in a quarterfinal game.
Right, conductor, bringing you in on this one, 22.5. Are you one of the early takers of the 12.5 and 13.5?
Brent, I wasn't. I took up the 13.5 and I took up the 14.5. I think Neil from Thornton Sports was the front runner there, and to basically take the early value there. I think he was big on the early value on Exeter. Yeah, I think Northampton Saints in a bad place. I don't think it's a lack of motivation. It looks like a more sort of lack of cohesion in terms of the way they play. They just struggle. I mean, I was at a braai on Sunday, and I just was listening to the comments about Northampton Saints unable to score against 13 men against Leicester. I mean, that's just unforgivable in a modern era. So if that's the case, and that was their first strength squad, it sounds like there's big issues there. I think Chris Boyd is struggling at that. I think Chris is struggling at Northampton Saints as a coach. This might turn into a very ugly affair. I think the February result here was 57-7, I think, to Exeter against Northampton Saints with two very strong squads. Exeter, they're just in such a vein of form. It might turn into a very, very bad day at the office for Northampton. I think if they maybe call it half time, it might be a bit of a mercy kill here for Northampton. I don't know, but so that as the Sunday Punt Boys says, they had that 19-year-old who was actually an eighth man. He was going to play tight head until they signed some unknown guy from Gloucester to come in for them. I really feel sorry for that guy. Imagine having to make your debut against the best team in England, against one of the biggest packs in England. It's a bit of a trial by fire, but the handicap is a bit higher at 22.5. I think as I climbed early, I think I wouldn't look at the handicap at this point in time. I'd probably look at Exeter points. If anything else, I think it might be a bit of a rout.
Right. Okay, that brings us to the end of the Champions Cup games. Then just bringing the son of the punt boys back in here, and let me move you out of the way of the logo there. Guys, your best bet then from what we've discussed so far, and perhaps anything else in Europe. I know there is some other European rugby, but I haven't really had a look at it. What's your best bet on the card?
Maybe Brumbies more try. Well, geez, from the AU game, Brumbies more tries than the Reds. I'd probably go half on that and half on Brumbies outright, personally. The European games are tough to call because they're quarterfinals. And for me, I think more exotic markets might be more attractive. For example, over penalties in like a Toulouse match or something along those lines. Or maybe like a Luke Cowan-Dickey anytime, who's the Exeter hooker. So those are players that I'd probably prefer to look at than the handicappers per se. So, yeah, Brumbies more tries for me.
Right, Andrew, for you?
Yeah, Brent, also on the Brumbies train, obviously. But I have some strong fancies in the Challenge Cup. If we're still going to cover that, my best bet lies in that tournament. So if we're going to get to that, I can wait. Otherwise, I can give it now.
Yeah, no, go for it now, because I wasn't going to bring up the Challenge Cup fixtures. I only realised at the last minute the Challenge Cup was on. So, yeah, share your thoughts on the Challenge Cup, and then we'll get Conductor to add any if he's got before we get on to the New Zealand rugby.
So for Bordeaux Beagles versus Edinburgh, there's also plenty of rain in the morning. I think it's raining from 2-3 in the morning until 1 p.m. when the game comes on. And the cap there's Edinburgh plus 10.5 in Europe, or 9.5. Obviously, this fixture's been played before already, and Edinburgh would have covered the cap in one of the two games that were played. And now the Bordeaux Beagles don't have Rudd Grada anymore. So I'm all over the plus 9.5 here. It's way too big in that sort of wet weather. I think they're going to be trading sticks. I'd even go Bordeaux Beagles under tries. It's not out yet, but definitely the Edinburgh plus 9.5 there. I saw the Stig line is 2. So that's also a huge support for that with quite a difference. And then the other fancy that I had was, sorry, let me just get it out here. Yeah, it was the Leicester Tigers minus 4.5. George back at 10. If you look at Leicester Tigers fixtures or results from the post-COVID restart, every team that has played them has started their full-strength team and gone after 5 points. So they've had really a tough run. And I think this cap it's too low. Castres, they're a good team and they have a good lineup, but I think minus 4.5 with Ben Youngs and George Ford there, I think the experience is going to be pretty solid, and I think minus 4.5 there for the Tigers is going to come through quite nicely.
Right, good to hear some confident picks there in the Challenge Cup. Conductor, you're nodding your head. You're in agreement with the lads?
Yeah, Brent, some absolutely great picks there. Champions Cup, like I said, some of the value, like obviously if you're climbing on now, a lot of the value is actually gone. My best bet for the Champions Cup at the moment will be, hopefully we get a good Saracens points line. I'll go unders on the Saracens points line. I'll go Saracens unders on tries. I can't see them scoring huge tries against Leinster, a very good Leinster defensive side. In Challenge Cup, I like the Edinburgh game in terms of the first off handicap for Edinburgh. I listened to what Richard Cockerell has said. They're going to come up all guns firing that first off to try and dent that Bordeaux attack. Bordeaux's only had one competitive game since post-COVID. So whereas Edinburgh's had quite a few games, very intense competitive games to get attuned to their squad, etc. And they've got enough Scottish internationals to make that very competitive. I must admit, I like the Bordeaux side, especially the addition of the Cheetahs hooker. Just escapes my memory right
Franco
now.
Marie.
But
I don't know.
I'll think of him now. The Cheetahs hooker that's joined them. So
we all can picture him, and none of us can think of his name.
Yes, I can see him running with his
the guys in the live comments will come up pretty quickly.
Yeah, absolutely. It's poor form from my side not to remember his name, but I will think of it right now. It just escaped my memory.
Hein will get him. Hein will definitely get him.
Joseph Weber, he's an absolutely dynamic player, and he's a lot of great potential side. So, I like Bordeaux, but I think there's enough talent in that Edinburgh side. They'll come out firing because I know that first off is that opportunity to try and maybe give themselves a chance. I like Bristol Bears there. I haven't seen the points line, but I like Bristol Bears in the points. They're playing a very, very strong team. Neither the Bristol Bears or the Dragons from Wales are a defensive-minded side. So I expect a bit of points in those games. But so it should be some good games this weekend.
Excellent. There's going to be some good stuff. Sean Nicholas saying he likes Edinburgh. They'll be fuming after that Ulster semi-final loss. Sean, I can tell you I'm still fuming after that Ulster semi-final loss. having had the double that week as well, ending on Edinburgh. So a bit disappointing that. But we did bounce back in the newsletter last week, picking a winner. So if you haven't subscribed yet, do go down below and hit the subscribe button, and you'll see what our best bet on the show is. I'm going to have to probably listen to the show again because there's been quite a few best bets put forward. And the guys also mentioned the Stig line. He's got a blog now on the Good for the Game, so we carry all his lines on Good for the Game. And from next week, I'll put a link to the Stig lines down below in the description box as well, so guys can have a look at that. But I think that's it from the Son of a Punt, guys. We are still going to talk New Zealand rugby now with the conductor. But guys, thanks very much for the contributions. And just a quick one: are you going out tonight, or are you hitting the books?
Brent, you don't need to ask that question. Huh? There's only one answer.
Not with the crack that we heard at the start of the show. That definitely wasn't a pre-study beer. Let's
just say Brumbies have just got a penalty on the 22. Are they going for poles or are they going for the corner?
That's it. So Couch Critic 17-1. But yeah, it's pretty obvious what you guys are up to tonight. But guys, thanks very much. It was great having you back on the show. And I look forward to having you on again soon. And just to mention, at Son of a Punt on Twitter, they make their posts there. They also post on the Good for the Game forum. So you can catch up with them because I know you boys love your in-play betting as well. But thanks a lot, and we'll see you soon.
Cheers, thanks, Brent.
Cheers, Brendan. Enjoy.
God.
Excellent, guys. Just a couple of comments that have come up. Brady saying 1,000 fans only for the Bordeaux game, and the Crow tips he's not writing off Sarries. And this is an interesting one. Be Strong asking me, Brent, are you going for a Brumbies or Red win? Now, the reason I say it's interesting is because I'm involved in a bit of a Super Brew battle at the moment. And
Red will get you there, Brent.
Yes, that's the thing. I'm sitting fourth, and I'm about 1.2 points off the guy who's first. So if I win Reds and, for example, the other guys around me, we pay top 6. And first prize is pretty decent, I think. I actually can't remember now because we had to split the pool and that. But I think it's about an $8,000 first prize or so. But I wonder now, I haven't looked at who's around me. I wonder if Be Strong is trying to find out where I'm going there now. But I must tell you, Be Strong, I was initially leading Reds, but I'm starting to go Brumbies. But yeah, let me throw it out there and say that nothing is definite yet. But conductor, let's move on to the New Zealand rugby, and I'm going to bring up the betting here at WSB, and I will go through it game by game, and you can take us through. The first one is Tasman up against Northland, massive handicap here, 28.5 points.
Huge. Brent's very big handicap. It's huge, and I believe Jack Goody, who is out for Northland, which was one of the gun centres. And David Avili is in for Tasman, which is just strengthening an absolutely ridiculous backline. Neil from Thoughts on Sports indicates there might be rain this weekend for that game. So it's a bit of a difficult one. I won't be touching that game. That handicap is just too high to basically to have confidence on it. There's one or two sort of step tries, things like that. Lose your money on that. So I don't know. I'm not too sure, Brenton. I'll be honest. I don't have much faith in that. In that handicap, it is very, very big. And I think as we saw last weekend, and as Henrik says, I think we went over 5.5 tries for Tasman versus counties. They should have actually put that easily away, and they just sort of fell short with a couple of 10 or 15 minutes of poor play by Tasman, and but a Will Jordan Magic couldn't save it. So it is difficult. I won't be touching that game. The handicap's too high for me. I think maybe even a points under, because if there's a, but I also worry about points under in Mitre 10 because they love to throw the ball around. I won't be touching that cap at all. I'll be honest.
Right, you're going to leave that game well alone. Let's move on to the next one then. Waikato v North Harbour, and here we got the handicap Waikato minus 8.5 against North Harbour. The home team favoured. Are you looking at a big bet on this one?
Brent, I've taken medium North Harbour plus 8.5 and North Harbour on the board. I was actually quite impressed with them against Canterbury last week. I thought they weren't too bad. They're playing against a very, very strong Canterbury side, and I thought they came with for a couple of moments they came within, I think, about 7 points of of Canterbury. They had a chance to maybe even tie it there. Canterbury sort of slotted them away at the end there. I thought Waikato we handled the game with some very, very poor play by Wellington. They were, Wellington made so many mistakes. They looked like a side that hadn't played together. It almost flattened Waikato a little bit. So in my view, I like North Harbour. I thought they didn't have a bad game at all. I thought they loved to run the ball. Brent Graham is not a bad fly in my eyes. I did see comments from the Waikato coach saying that they're not going to let off the pressure. What they've done in the past, they've had 1 or 2 good results early in the season, and then tended to ease off the pedal and fade. So they said they're going to keep up the pressure, but I still think there's enough in this North Harbour side to reach the cap there. I quite like North Harbour.
North Harbour on the handicap there. Next game, it's Canterbury up against Taranaki, and Canterbury here minus 13.5 at home.
Yeah, Brent, it's a big game. This is the Ranfurly Shield, the Logo Wood, as I'd call it. So there's been some absolutely epic games in the past between these two sides. Like I said, I'm not expert in New Zealand rugby. Obviously, what I've just gleaned off the results from the past few years and what I've watched, but Taranaki is definitely strengthening this side with the addition of the 2 Barrett brothers and the third Barrett. I don't think he's playing this weekend, not from what I've seen. I don't think they've released the team sheets yet, but I don't think he's playing this weekend. The 2 Barretts and Mitchell Brown is injured this weekend, but Lachlan Bashir is back. Obviously he's in there. Canterbury will most definitely be starting with Mitch Drummond and Richie Mwanga at 9 and 10. So they'll be starting with their strongest side. What I've always learned from the New Zealand guys and the Kiwi guys I've always spoken to is Ranfurly Shield is holding quite esteem. Canterbury will definitely be up for this game, as will Taranaki. So my bet there is probably a small bet on plus 13.5, but I wouldn't be surprised in seeing Canterbury running away with this.
Right, I see Neil is going for Taranaki 14.5. That's at Sunbet, and Sean saying with the old Logo Wood, you always got to back the plus all day. And in fact, a lot of people coming through Bad Breath also liking the plus on that one. Let's move on to the next game though, and it's Bay of Plenty against Southland. Now Southland are 15-1. The handicap's 25.5. But did I see right, conductor, that Southland actually won a game last weekend?
Brent, it was difficult, man. It was played in slightly ominous conditions for Southland versus Hawke's Bay. Hawke's Bay was absolutely horrendous. Once again, like the Joseph Dweber question, their flav's name eludes me, but he was he was put poor in clearing their lines, things like that. Hawke's Bay normally relied on their driving maul to get the job done. They just couldn't get it done against Southland, but the conditions were Hurricane Katrina would have given less rain that was in Chicago last week. So it's difficult to try and find out. So I definitely think the Southland side is better than previous years. But once again, I'll wait for the points line for Bay of Plenty. I think they're a better side. It's difficult because guys are sort of almost making their minds up about the season off the first game. I still think Bay of Plenty are a good side. I'll look for the Lions points for Bay of Plenty here. I won't take them on the minus 25, but hopefully, a good points line here to get over. Southland like to concede and like to score as well. So I'll wait for that.
Right, let's go on to the next game. Hawke's Bay v Counties. And this is a tighter one. Minus 5.5 points, Hawke's Bay.
Brent, it's not a tough one. I was quite impressed with Counties in that first half when they had Kieran Reid on. He showed a lot of leadership at the back of the mall there. But as he went off, I think Counties sort of dissipated a little bit. Form would say Hawke's Bay minus 5.5 is the play to go for here. With basically no crowds. Also New Zealand at the moment. So I think they're still on level 2. So for me, I'd probably take a small bet on Hawke's Bay minus 5.5. But once again, I wouldn't be surprised if Counties keep it close in that first half. They were mighty impressive. They actually held their own against Tasman in that first half. They really were quite combative. I thought they'd concede a lot more, but it's a difficult one to call.
Right, just 2 games left to get through. Manawatu plus 4.5 against Otago.
Once again, Brent, I haven't checked the team sheets haven't been released. I don't know. Apparently, Luamapi isn't available for Manawatu. Aaron Smith also might not be starting for Manawatu. I thought Otago were very, very poor last week. So I actually like the turbos on the plus here against Otago. The horrific red card against Theo Tompkinson last week. Last minute high tackle against one of the Tasman players. Sorry, not Tasman, against one of the Auckland players last week. So missing one of their gun centres. I might sniff this as a bit of opportunity for my number 2 to get a bit of meat pie here. And I think I might smell a bit of blood in the water against Otago. And actually, no, I quite like my number 2 here against Otago. So, yeah, plus 1.5 gets my money.
If Oracle was here, there's no doubt he'd be saying, don't bother about the plus, go back them on the board 17-10. So,
The wrong
my number 2, yeah, the wrong favorite, yes, that's probably what he would say. Let's go on then to the final game that I've got priced up on the weekend. It's Auckland against Wellington. Auckland delivered in no uncertain terms for Hendrik Swart last week, and they're minus 8.5 points against Wellington.
Yeah, Brent, absolutely. They cruised in last week against Otago, but that was a bit of a mismatch. I think Otago was absolutely undergunned and completely. They were missing. Well, they're not missing, much guys, but they're just completely, understaffed in that respect. They just don't have the cattle. Auckland is almost a almost an All Black side. They got guys like Caleb Clark. I just also, once again, I don't have Tupolatu. I try to look at the news. I don't have Tupolatu's back this week. Guys like Hoskins Tutu, they look good. Wellington, for me, looked like a side last week that hadn't played much together, and I think they might be a little bit better this week. But the form line suggests Auckland will win this by plenty. I'm very confident in Auckland. They looked very good. You can't not back Auckland here.
Well, keep an eye on the good for the game for him, because Hendrik Swart, if he hasn't put it up already, will certainly be putting his bet up. And I know he was very strong on Auckland last week, and I've got a feeling he likes the game. I might have seen a comment somewhere but I don't want to say it in case I'm wrong. But check the forum. I think Hendrik Swart likes that as well. Cerebral Assassin saying Hein loves his hookers. That's no understatement. I think we need to have a little section on the show called Hein's Hookers in future. But Brendan, that pretty much brings us to the end of the rugger. What is your best bet then on the Mitre 10 Cup?
Brendan, like I said, I was sort of aiming towards the Brumbies. Sort of the last day and a half, I've had a bit of a rethink. The Reds are actually a very good side. Are actually quite a good side, but I'm not as bullish on the Brumbies as I was. My best bet will be Saracens points under there against Leinster. I know it's not some markets, but I cannot see that Leinster side that will be penetrated there. So I quite enjoy that Leinster defence, and it's 80 minutes of spectacle to watch them defend. I just don't think the Saracens guys have the ability to penetrate that too often. They'll take the odd 3 here or there. So Brumbies minus 2.5, very good bets. I'd definitely lump a bit of coal on that. But Leinster and Saracens under.
Right, there's Neil's best bets on the current lines available. Naki plus 14.5, Edinburgh plus 8.5, and Tigers minus 1.5 first half cap. And just to mention to you, especially to our female viewers, of which I think my mom is probably the only one, this might be the last time you see their hair, because I'm getting close to that 120 kilogram barrier, which I promised myself I'd get under before I cut my hair. So I haven't cut my hair since just before lockdown, and we're now in level 1. So hopefully next week you're going to see me with a short haircut. But Conductor, it's been great having you on the show. A cracking week of sport ahead. I trust you're going to keep a little eye on the Tour de France as well.
Brent, I follow your tips as always. Your tips are absolutely golden. I mean, I can't say enough. I can't praise enough for your tips. But I must enjoy. I must enjoy the Tour de France. Loving the way it's panned out as far. So man, it's I got a bit of skin in the game with 1 or 2 riders. I cannot pronounce for the life of me pronounce their names, but whatever you said, I've put a bit of Randellas on. So hopefully they come in.
Excellent. Yeah, I must say the Tour de France is one of those things. I mean, I'm holding my own in the Tour de France, and a couple of my long-term picks are doing okay. But honestly, it's just I haven't been. The stage winners normally in the Tour, you take 2 or 3 guys in some of the stages at 30-1, 50-1, and you just need to hit one of those and you're cruising. And I've just found it a really tough tour. But fortunately, I've hit most of my match or biggish match bets and my in plays. So yeah, it's slightly there, but it's just such a fascinating event, and I love analysing the stage. And you can get the stage absolutely right in terms of the analysis and still not make a bloody cent out of it. And that's cycling betting for you. But Brendan, it was great. Thanks everyone for all of you for in the live chat. Of course, we're just 1 week away from the return of South African rugby, and Neil pointing out that the Lions are out for Super Sunday. I think Super Sunday. I think it is next Sunday. It's not this Sunday, so we'll definitely cover that in next week's show. But Brendan, thanks very much. Thanks to everyone in the live chat, guys. We'll see you in the Good for the Game forum and on Twitter. Have a cracking weekend. Cheers, the Conductor.
Thanks, guys.